Jung. In my case, Pilgrim's Progress consisted in my having to climb down 1,000 ladders until I could reach out my hand to the little clod of earth that I am. Great talents are the most lovely and often the most dangerous fruits on the tree of humanity. They hang upon the most slender twigs that are easily snapped off. Man is not a machine that can be remodeled for quite other purposes as occasion demands, in the hope that it will go on functioning as regularly as before but in a quite different way. He carries his whole history with him, in his very structure is written the history of mankind. Sometimes, indeed, there is such a discrepancy between the genius and his human qualities that one has to ask oneself whether a little less talent might not have been better. Shrinking away from death is something unhealthy and abnormal which robs the second half of life of its purpose. Grounded in the natural philosophy of the Middle Ages, alchemy formed a bridge, on the one hand into the past, to Gnosticism, and on the other into the future, to the modern psychology of the unconscious. Follow that will and that way which experience confirms to be your own. Without this playing with fantasy, no creative work has ever yet come to birth. The debt we owe to the play of the imagination is incalculable. Our heart glows, and secret unrest gnaws at the root of our being. Dealing with the unconscious has become a question of life for us. Everyone knows nowadays that people have complexes. What is not so well known, though far more important theoretically, is that complexes can have us. The Christian missionary may preach the gospel to the poor naked heathen, but the spiritual heathen who populate Europe have as yet heard nothing of Christianity. Nobody, as long as he moves about among the chaotic currents of life, is without trouble. The word belief is a difficult thing for me. I don't believe it. I must have a reason for a certain hypothesis. Either I know a thing, and then I know it, I don't need to believe it. Mistakes are, after all, the foundations of truth, and if a man does not know what a thing is, it is at least an increase in knowledge if he knows what it is not. Resistance to the organized mass can be effected only by the man who is as well organized in his individuality as the mass itself. Show me a sane man and I will cure him for you. It is a fact that cannot be denied, the wickedness of others becomes our own wickedness because it kindles something evil in our own hearts. If there is anything that we wish to change in the child, we should first examine it and see whether it is not something that could better be changed in ourselves. For a young person, it is almost a sin, or at least a danger, to be too preoccupied with himself, but for the aging person, it is a duty and a necessity to devote serious attention to himself. We are born at a given moment, in a given place and, like vintage years of wine, we have the qualities of the year and of the season of which we are born. Astrology does not lay claim to anything more. The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed. It all depends on how we look at things, and not how they are in themselves. Even a happy life cannot be without a measure of darkness, and the word happy would lose its meaning if it were not balanced by sadness. It is far better take things as they come along with patience and equanimity. The Christ symbol is of the greatest importance for psychology insofar as it is perhaps the most highly developed and differentiated symbol of the self, apart from the figure of the Buddha. All the works of man have their origin in creative fantasy. What right have we then to depreciate imagination? Understanding does not cure evil, but it is a definite help, inasmuch as one can cope with a comprehensible darkness. We deem those happy who from the experience of life have learned to bear its ills without being overcome by them. I have treated many hundreds of patients. Among those in the second half of life, that is to say, over 35, there has not been one whose problem in the last resort was not that of finding a religious outlook on life. Motivational quotes. Carl Jung. If you find this video motivational, give it a thumbs up, and share it with your friends. For more videos like this, hit the subscribe button, and remember to hit the notification bell. Thank you for watching and listening. Please subscribe and comment.